Seatbelts, here comes the news. Tech companies renew push to weaken the California law. Let's see, get over here. And one of the things they're after is to be able to continue collecting data for targeted advertising when users opt out, which is an interesting idea. Now, I'm not sure about that, but I know that one of the paradoxes of the California law is that you're supposed to, when someone says, leave me alone, you're supposed to delete all their data. That's the gist of it. And the problem with that is that then if, let's say I'm a catalog company and they were a customer, and they actually bought from me, but they don't want to get any more of my catalogs or emails, okay? Then they buy from Williams-Sonoma. And so I rent Williams-Sonoma. And they didn't bother to tell us Williams-Sonoma because they like Williams-Sonoma, but they don't like me. So I rent Williams-Sonoma, and lo and behold, they get one of my catalogs again. And all of a sudden, I'm in a lawsuit with the state of California. So to prevent that, what we catalogers have been doing for decades is we keep a record of who doesn't want our catalog. What an idea. It's called a suppression file. And then when we rent other names, we bounce them against that, and we find those names, and we say, well, we're not paying for these. They don't want it. They don't want it anyway. Or at least we don't mail them and save the postage and the printing. And so the California law technically undermined that practice. And it prevents us from actually carrying out the desires of the consumer. So it's going to be interesting how it all shakes out. I'm advising my clients, no matter what anybody says, you got to keep the suppression files or you're going to get in big trouble. Because they will start filing lawsuits against you if you keep mailing them, even though it's not your fault. And you can point back to Williams-Sonoma or whomever, but that won't save you. You will still be in court with a state that prints money as a living. So don't, let's give the consumers what they want, not necessarily what the legislators wrote down, because it's dangerous. And don't misconstrue this as legal advice, because I know nothing about legal advice. I'll put that disclaimer in there. But if you think about it a little bit, you might want to save a suppression file. Maybe not with their name on it. Maybe just don't ever mail to that house again. That would kind of be close to compliant. Probably not. Okay, Netflix, big rumor started. They were going to distribute the Great British Baking Show and some other jazz contest or something because they didn't want to release them ahead of time. So they were releasing them little by little, but then people thought they were going to stop the practice of releasing an entire season at a time, and so everybody was up in arms. And I like binging, but I do it mostly on YouTube because my channel's like fix up abandoned boats, abandoned sailboats, abandoned comfort. That was one of them I really liked. I don't know where those abandoned comfort people went, but that's what they did. They took like abandoned boats and try to take them on the high seas. So also another news item, Incognito is getting released by Morningstar. I keep you up on the fake meat products. And they are the most widely distributed. They've got a 40-year history. They're owned by Kellogg's. So forget everything I told you about Impossible Meats and whatever the other one is called, I can't remember, which they're not going to like because they just raised like $300 million. But I think Morningstar has the inside track, and it sounds like they're just knocking off the other guys. So, hey, that's the American way. Okay, now yesterday, we talked about how Henry Ford maybe said, if I'd asked people what they'd wanted, they would have said faster horses or better buggies. Okay, and so Robin, who connected with me, maybe he's on today. Robin, if you're on today, give me some hearts or something. He talked about unleashing your agency, giving them the courage to try something crazy. And so on the crazy note, I wanted to bounce over to Kim Kardashian, who introduced a shapewear line called Kimono, which was kind of odd because, first of all, kimonos are kind of loose. They're not real shapy. And I don't know where she got the name. It probably says in this article. But she just goes for it, wing it. And they named their first child North, so her official name is Northwest, which it's kind of funny, but I wouldn't do that to a kid. And the second kid is called Saint West. I don't know what they said would they said that would be dooming the kid to playground taunts. And another one is called Chicago West. So they pronounce it shy. Anyway, so they just have the courage. They do it. And now there's a big backlash. And they actually changed the shapewear name to something else, Shrink or something. So she had courage and got kicked in the head for it. Bud Light was just told they can't talk about corn syrup anymore in their ads because a judge ordered the packaging change. They had courage, right? Right? Gillette had courage, and Gillette was thrown under the. Apparently, they fired half their people now in their marketing department. I don't know that it's hurt them. I wasn't going to buy it anyway, but so you have to you have to be a little careful with what you're going to call, what you're going to take courage in. What would you pay to be a better man? There's a big new economy emerging called the man economy. An entire economy has sprung up to serve and exploit the desires of men to be better people, better dads, brothers, spouses, and co-workers. The scope of this man economy is staggering. Amazon just launched a house brand called Good Man and featured Russell Wilson sitting around with a bunch of dudes talking about being good men. But can an enterprise that preys upon men's deepest insecurities actually help move the needle toward a more equitable society? You bet. Look at how deodorant has caught on. And nose hair trimmers. I have from Hammacher Schlemmer the world's best nose hair trimmer. Why? Did my grandfather ever trim his nose hairs? Absolutely not. I can tell you he took great pride in combing them out. But I'm on TV, and he wasn't. And so I have to do things like that, my wife tells me. So anyway, of course you can capitalize on the insecurities. And men used to have it simple. Self-reliant providers who put food on the table and never asked for help. Amen to that. John Wayne, James Bond. It was also, now there's a woman James Bond coming out. Jamie Bond. I don't know if they kept her name James. I think she's just called 007, but I'm sure she has a similar name, at least I would guess. Doctor Who's a woman. Pretty soon we'll have the flip side of Shakespeare, where every actress is playing men and all that sort of thing. I guess the Hunger Games girl turned down a role as a transvestite male to female. You have to be precise here because the Twitter community said you can't play a role that you aren't. That's what every actor does. But anyway, so the king of all this is Joe Rogan. And the reason I did this article was there was a picture of Joe Rogan. And I listened to Joe Rogan. I got through about half of Bernie Sanders' interview. I disagree with Bernie on a lot of stuff, but some of the stuff kind of made sense. I listened to him longer on Joe Rogan, a full half hour, than I ever had before. And then it got a little nutty. So, income inequality is a fact in the animal kingdom, in galaxies. Price's law is a fact. The 80-20, I've made a whole career on the 80-20 rule. It's a fact. You can't beat it. But the more socialism you introduce, the greater the gap becomes. Check out Soviet Union, where lots of billionaires and lots of abject poverty. So that's what you get with that income inequality fight. You don't necessarily make it better because it's a rule of nature. Look at the PGA money earnings. Look at NBA money earnings. Look at any place you want to look that's a meritocracy and there's an income inequality, but there's a greater one when you take away the income inequality and make it whoever is the last dog standing. They get all of it. Okay, so anyway, I thought this was interesting. I think maybe I should reposition myself in the man economy, and maybe I can sell a lot of books, deodorant, and chunky soups. I don't know. That's the trouble. That's the trouble with Robin's article. Which way do we lead? You have to pick your battles. Do I battle the Me Too willingness to accept any testimony as valid? I don't think so. There's rules for testimony. Do I acknowledge that some men are evil? Yeah. Most evil people are men. I think. I don't know. Most violent people are men. That much I'll give it. And I don't know the answer, but I think we should tread lightly on this. And I think we should be as warm and embracing as we can, and let's fight for unity. The man economy has the opportunity to offer men a fresh start. And Spencer says, boy, do we need one, but he's at Men's Health. And I don't know. And oh, by the way, I listened to the entire episode of Michaela Peterson with Joe Rogan. So he doesn't always only interview men. I just wanted to make that correction, Spencer, just so you know. She's fascinating. Jordan Peterson's daughter. Wonderful. Anyway, that's enough for now. I've gone way too long. Like and share. Share shows you care, and people will think you're smart.